On behalf of Edward Cadbury Center at University of Birmingham in UK, on behalf of Kanya College, and on behalf of the Inclusive Futures Foundation, I welcome everybody, the participants sitting here in person and online, the esteemed speakers of the conference, my esteemed colleagues, and I also would like to welcome the chief of this college, who would be joining us shortly. So this conference is the second in the series. The first conference, as you can say, the second International Conference on Women and Religion. Our first conference was held at Nishkam Center in Birmingham and online on 17th July 2024. We talked about women in Sikh, Christian, and Muslim faiths, hearing from experts from across the UK and India. It was a great start, and this is a series of 6 conferences that we plan to do in India, Nepal, and the UK, and today is the second. Now, what is the core assumption behind this conference? So we believe that religion does not have to be a bad thing for women. Religion can be an opportunity for and not an obstacle to gender equality. Some core questions, the kind of questions we are seeking to answer are, how does religion shape the status of women? How can religion help advance women's status, opportunities, and religions? Has religion been used as a tool to restrict women's freedom? How can patriarchal values and expectations be re-evaluated, critiqued, and reinterpreted from within religious traditions to promote gender equality? So with these assumptions, we thought that we should have a conference on women and religion. There are some core principles which guide our thinking in this area, and you can see those principles on the slides. Religion really matters ideologically, and we strongly believe in this fact. Religion really matters practically. Secular critiques often underestimate the continuing power of religion, and it has been observed that feminist evaluations often see religion as an obstacle, but we believe that it does not need to be this way always. Religion and social change. So we have observed that we need to work for change from within the traditions. It is seen that patriarchal systems often use religion as their validation. Religious leaders often are males. And if there's a religion which is progressive, it is often seen as moving away from the authentic belief and practices. So many times liberating religions is not seen to be something which people would appreciate. And developing culturally and socially progressive narratives, we believe, can be meaningful and acceptable in conservative religious contexts. Ultimately, our core question is that, can faith and feminism align? Is there a way feminism work hand in hand with different religions? And we believe that the answer is yes, they can do. But we want to hear your perspectives. What do you believe? Do you agree that feminism and faiths can work together to achieve gender equality? And we want to hear insights from various traditions, from various places to help us address this question comprehensively. What are we seeking to do through this initiative, through this conference? And the whole idea behind this exercise is to answer certain questions. We are trying to attend to women's stories. We want to listen what are women's stories from sacred texts, no matter which religion you're from the history, and in contemporary society. So listening to women's stories is the motive of this conference, one of the motives. Next is addressing women's challenges. We want to see what can religion contribute? Where does religion hinder their progress? And what can faith communities, how can the faith communities help us? So this is the objective. Another important objective of this conference is to amplify women's voices, where in social settings, political settings, in cultural and creative contexts, and in religious contexts as well. And the last and the most important objective behind this exercise is to advance women's opportunities. So through this, we want to encourage women's aspirations, promoting education among them, supporting policy development. And these are the things that we are trying to do through this conference. I would like to introduce our first collaborator for this conference, which is Inclusive Futures Foundation. This foundation, as you can see, what we call is IF Foundation, because IF for us is something that represents possibilities. What if women are educated? What if women are in equal number in different job categories? So it is Inclusive Future Foundation, started by three like-minded people from academic background and from social work background. So I am the president of Inclusive Future Foundation, heading it globally. Professor Andrew Davis, my esteemed colleague, is the head of UK and Europe division. And Ms. Gauri Gupta, who's a social worker and an entrepreneur, she's the general secretary of this Inclusive Futures Foundation. The purpose, there are 5 priority areas that we work across, and you can see those areas there on the slide, which is women and children, environment and sustainability, culture and heritage, health and well-being, education and training. So we are working across all of them to promote inclusivity, empowerment, and sustainable well-being among all. And through this banner, we have already achieved done a lot of things and pursued a number of opportunities. We'll show you a few pictures so that you can understand the kind of work that the organization is doing. Social service. So this is at the core of whatever work we do. How is our work going to contribute to the community is what we are trying to achieve. So in June this year in India, there was a heat wave, and in a place called Uttar Pradesh in India, we conducted a relief camp, and we actually ended up helping 2,000 plus people. And one of our trustees, Ms. Gauri Gupta, she monitored the whole exercise where our team distributed water and what we call sharbat, which is juice, so to everybody, and especially from the people of marginalized communities. So with this exercise, we provided more than simple hydration. We would say that this exercise symbolizes a sense of community spirit, of mutual care and support. One more exercise that we did here in Nepal. So there's a place called Bhaktapur, and for my Indian participants here, Nepal is a beautiful place, extremely rich in culture, and the people are extremely warm. So we did a cultural heritage tour for the government school students. So we collaborated with with the schools, and above 100 students were taken to this cultural heritage site called Changunarayan Temple. We prepared worksheet for students to do activities at that site, told them about the cultural heritage, the religious heritage, and the architecture of that place, the wood carving and everything, and helped them to learn about history, religion, culture, and also provided them food and drinks. So it was an extremely useful exercise and educating exercise. We keep advocating and speaking at international platforms all over the places. And we have been fortunate to speak at some prestigious international conferences and public events. And you can see my esteemed colleague, Professor Andrew Davis, speaking at a platform in Malaysia, I guess. Interreligious engagement. So intercultural and interreligious engagement is something that we are committed towards. We want all the religions to work in harmony with each other. We want to encourage cultural competence so that no matter which country you are, you can work comfortably in harmony with people of other religions and other cultures. So we have mentored in fact, we are mentoring young women to achieve their dreams, to fulfill their desires. And we have visited and spoken at Hindu, Muslim, Christian, and Sikh sites, and not just in Nepal and in India, but also in UAE and USA. We met leaders from all religions and initiate a dialogue between the communities. So, and we believe that this collaboration will build bridges between different communities and different religions. We would also like to introduce here our team of interns, which is our strength. So you can see the pictures here on the screen. These are the people who have helped facilitate and manage the whole conference, and we are extremely grateful for their support. You've already met Shraddha Singh. Shraddha is a research scholar at the School of Humanities and Social Sciences at Guru Gobind Singh University in New Delhi. Her scholarly pursuits are centered around the representation of city spaces in literature. So she's from English, with the primary focus on the city of Lucknow in India and the province of Awadh. Next, Ikra Fatima, you will meet soon because she will be managing the questions put to the speakers. She holds a master's degree in psychology from Aligarh Muslim University and pursued the Psychology Star Scholars Program at the University of Michigan in USA. Next, Christabel, she's a research scholar in the Department of Islamic History of Maharaja's College, Ernakulam, Cochin in Kerala, India, where she explores the concept of love of God through a comparative study of Rabia al-Basri and Teresa of Avila's mystic philosophies. She's handling our media and technology for today's event. Yantisha Yadav, she's a dedicated social science researcher with a profound passion for gender studies and social justice. She holds a master's degree in political science from Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi, India. She will be chairing the second half of the conference. And lastly, Nalini Bhattar, she's our 5th intern. So at this moment, we have 5 interns working with us, learning. Nalini Bhattar is a research scholar at the Advanced Center for Women's Studies, Aligarh Muslim University. And I'm specially, I'll take this opportunity to introduce that she's my research scholar. She's working with me on the topic of educational migration. Her research focuses on female student migrants. She'll be the conference rapporteur and will author the report that you will see later on our website. So through IFF, we are trying to provide a platform for the young talented scholars to learn and excel. At IFF, Inclusive Future Foundation, we are open for collaboration. Our approach is collaborative, partnering with government, business, academic, and local organizations to maximize its impact and reach. We leverage innovative strategies and evidence-based practices to address complex and social environment. So the idea is to collaborate with everybody and to do collaborative work. We want the government organizations, private organizations, colleges, schools to join hands with us to achieve the purpose that we are working on. The membership of Inclusive Future Foundation is free, and you can write to us. There's an email address on the screen that you can see. Please write to us on that if you want to join us. And alternatively, we have a QR code that you can scan and then join us in this mission. Now, and the QR code and the link is available. You can see the areas on which we are working. And if you're interested to join hands with us, we encourage you to write to us or scan the code. Now, I would like my esteemed colleague, Professor Andrew Davis, I would hand it over to him to introduce to you the remaining 2 collaborators for this conference. Over to you, Andrew.
Thank you so much, Juhi. Good morning from the United Kingdom to you all. It's really good to see you wherever you are in the world. Thank you for having us. It's my very great pleasure to introduce the Edward Cadbury Centre to you. The Edward Cadbury Centre is based in the Religion Department at the University of Birmingham, and it is a knowledge exchange, impact and publication hub that we seek to work across the world, not pushing messages out from Birmingham, but working with people all over the world to talk about why religion matters and why faith is such an important thing, to support faith communities in working across the world, and to equip faith-based leaders and faith-inspired leaders to make a difference. So just as we said, in the field of religion and women, sometimes people say, oh, religion is part of the problem, religion is an obstacle. But throughout all the areas in which we work, it's our belief that religion can be an opportunity for and not an obstacle to progress in so many areas of life. So the Cadbury Centre works in 4 main themes: religion and leadership, religion and business, religion and public policy, so both domestic and international, and increasingly in religion and reconciliation as well. So how religion can build bridges between them. And there are 2 cross-cutting themes that really inspire us and help us focus. One on women and religion, one on interreligious relations. And we have a few different projects within that. So one of them, for instance, is our Master of Public Administration degree on faith-based leadership, which is a blended learning degree you can do from anywhere in the world that talks about all the skills that you would cover in a professional context, in a business or leadership context, but from the faith-based angle. We have a cultural and professional competence program. This is me speaking at the House of Lords in Westminster in London. We do research on, for instance, values in business and how to promote value-based leadership. We do work on the distinctive contribution of women's leadership and what women bring to the table as leaders. And we also do research on interreligious relations. Especially we're interested in the connection between the Abrahamic faiths, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and the Dharmic faiths such as Hinduism, Sanatana Dharma, Jainism, Sikhism, and those traditions. So that's one of our focuses there. So that's the Cadbury Centre. We are so grateful to Padmakanya Multiple Campus of Tribhuvan University for hosting the on-site group today. There's a great group of inspirational men and women and leaders that are there sharing with us today. So thank you, Padmakanya, for hosting us. PKMC was established in 1951. It was the first women's campus in Nepal. It was inaugurated by King Tribhuvan, and at the inauguration, the Prime Minister, Mohan Shamsher Rana, the Finance Minister, Subhana Shamsher Rana, the Home Minister, BP Koirala, the Minister of Education, Ripa Jung Rana, many key officials and many key political leaders of the time were there for its opening. It began with just 8 subjects in the humanities and has now grown to be this beautiful campus, very heavily focused on higher education of women, very much focused on ensuring their happiness as empowered citizens and building some great programs. So Padmakanya is a great example of the work that we want to promote and we want to inspire. It's the perfect location for us to be hosted today. And we're especially grateful for the work that Dr. Santosh Giri has done for us. There she is with Juhi. Santosh ma'am is the head of the Central Department of Home Science and the coordinator for Women's Studies for Tribhuvan University. We're immensely grateful to her for all her work. And we're also immensely grateful to Professor Jayalakshmi Padhan. She will be speaking to you later at the close of the day. She's the campus chief at Padmakanya, and she will be delivering the vote of thanks. So, without further ado, in just a moment, I will hand back to Shraddha and we will get on with the academic content of the day. But we are delighted that you are here with us. Do let us have your feedback and your suggestions. At the moment, we're inviting speakers, but we will have an open call for papers and we will be interested in publishing some papers as well. So do get in touch if you've got some research that you're interested in sharing with us. The next conference, I know this one hasn't really started yet, but the next one will be on the 4th of September. That will also be delivered from Kathmandu and online. So if you want a message, do get in touch. Do send us a message if you want more details about that. It's fantastic to have you with us. You're very welcome. Hope you have a fantastic day. And I will hand back to Shraddha now. Thank you very much indeed.